Hey everyone and welcome back. I'm Trixks and today I'm finally going to tackle the different art styles challenge. It's one of those milestone type of art challenges I've seen a lot of different artists do on their channel. Those who follow me on my social media will remember me posting a poll asking for your suggestions on what styles you'd want to see me transform a character into, and I picked the ones I believed would create a fair amount of visual variety, but would also be manageable for me to recreate. So given the time of year and how busy things are at the moment, I'll be tackling the first 5 styles in today's video, and we'll hopefully finish part 2 in the new year for you guys. A bit unorthodox, I know, but I wanted to make sure I got a video out to you guys this week on my regular release day to share what I'd accomplished in the challenge so far. If you guys look closely at the group image, you'll get a tease of what styles are yet to come. Alrighty, with my library of style references off to the side ready to go, first up, one of the styles I knew I wanted to recreate, even before it was suggested, was anime. It's a very distinct style, but is open to a lot of variation in itself. Just think of all the different manga and animes you might have seen, how different they can look in comparison to each other. But I thought creating a chibi version of my Trixks avatar would be a great way to kick off this challenge. The chibi look I ended up emulating was on the slightly more detailed end of the anime art style spectrum, which would work better with the extra details I use in my avatar's outfit. Colored line art with very subtle weight variation, flat colors with the odd gradient, and a mix of soft and cel shading were all staples featured in the style. I must say she looks adorable as a chibi. I've always found it hard when I've made chibis in the past not to worry so much about how big the head can get. It's more traditional for the head to be over-exaggerated in comparison to the smaller, stubby-limbed body, but I had to really fight my instincts to keep sizing down her head for this one. Can I just say I'm in love with how the hair shine turned out on this style? It just looks so dang glossy, like hair product photo shoot level shine. Next up was Invader Zim. Now, I never really watched this cartoon myself growing up and still have yet to give it a real go, but the art style of the two main characters was very memorable to me, even in passing. The sharp, simplified shapes, lines that flow from one element into another, and of course, bigger heads and eyes for the children-aged characters. Considering I was going to be converting my female avatar into the Invader Zim style, I needed a female character for my reference, which thank frick they had, cause I don't remember her at all. Thick line art, flat colors, and only very basic one-tone multiply shading fit the Invader Zim style. I took a bit of creative license with the eyes, as I couldn't actually find her with her eyes open. Or maybe the thick eyelash look is her eyes open in the same way Brock from Pokemon always has his eyes open with those flat horizontal lines. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but hey, who am I to question someone else's style? Anywho, I decided to mix the style of her eyes with the alien Zims to get something that would link back to my avatar's thick lash hazel eyes better. I almost forgot the Mickey hair buns for a moment there, but considering the simplified shapes of the characters, it was an easy enough late addition, though I did end up dropping the bicep belts. Let's just say that was cut on purpose, shall we? The character outfits in Zim seemed so simple and I didn't see anyone wearing a belt, so I wasn't sure if adding them would be too off the style, but I thought it would be okay to have the waist ones either way, as they are the more important ones to feature in the outfit design, despite there being no waist thanks to the body shape the show uses. Up next is a style from a cartoon TV show I did watch and absolutely adored growing up. Kim Possible, a badass redhead girl hero. No superpowers, just a brave teenager with a huge dash of crazy acrobatic skills. Kim was an amazing female character to grow up watching. I remember I wanted her shade of red hair for the longest time years ago. It wouldn't have suited my skin type though, but that didn't stop me from going with a different shade later in life. Anyway, the Kim Possible art style also features a lot of lines that flow through from one element to the other, like the body and clothing tended to follow along the same line. Except when it came to the bottoms and waist of Kim's pants. They were the definition of baggy pants, yet they still managed to defy gravity and never fall down despite the gaping waistline. Yeah, don't ask me how that somehow works. There were a bunch of different female characters in the show to help guide me through my avatar redesign, but I decided to stick more to Kim's own look for the overall head and body shape. I was thrown off a little when it came to her lower body, as my avatar's outfit features the leather pants, so they needed to be skin tight, while a lot of references I could find for Kim had her signature baggy pants. So yeah, that wasn't very helpful. And a few of the leg sets I did find looked very odd. Like I couldn't figure out which way the front of the legs was facing because the shape was pretty thick in places I wouldn't have thought they would have been. I also remember the top lips of the female characters always used to confuse me so much in the beginning. All I could see was a chocolate milk mustache rather than a top lip. With some slight weight variation to the thicker line art, I also needed to colour the line out to a darker, more saturated version of the flat colour within the area it outlines. No shading for this one, but I got to admit I love how my avatar looks in Kim style. It's a nice balance and simplified detail and appealing shapes. And what's an art style challenge without a Tim Burton entry? I love a lot of his movies, and his illustration style is so distinct I knew I wanted to give it a go. Inspired by the concept art for Emily from The Corpse Bride and a collection of other miscellaneous character sketches in the Tim Burton library, I could see some distinct design features I would need to use on my avatar. Since your character's waist like she only has a spine and no intestines or muscle in the way, suck all the fat out of the limbs and stretch them out like stilts, give her large round eyes with tiny dots for pupils and desaturate the color palette till it toes the edge of being grey. Mix all those into a roughly sketched package and you have the core building blocks of Burton's illustration style. I do feel like this was one of the clearest restyled designs I did in today's video. If you're familiar with Tim Burton's work, there's no room for doubt whose style this is based on. I actually found his style rather freeing and let me relax more with the anatomy I drew considering how exaggerated her form was. Long, pointed, rough. A few spot-on keywords there, and I have to admit, keeping the rough sketch and foregoing any line art was a nice change of pace as well. And to finish things off with a bang, I decided a Studio Ghibli style would be a nice one to try. I've loved so many of their movies, the artwork is always stunning, but more so the stories are so elaborate and interesting. Of course the favourites would be Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle. Interesting creatures and interesting romance story. I'm sold. Oh, and I'm not the only one who thinks the food in their movies always look amazing, right? Tell me that bacon Hal cooks doesn't make your mouth water. And I don't even really like bacon. Anywho, to the stylized drawing at hand, I had Sophie, Princess Mononoke, and Ariete as my references, but I do think I used a lot more of Sophie's features from Howl's Moving Castle as my main go-to for my avatar. But the fur lining of her coat was all Princess Mononoke, and I got to admit, I do like the style of the fur's outline. It's very different to how I would usually draw it, and yes, I misclicked the record button, so the sketch does jump forward in time a bit. Thank goodness you didn't miss too much. There was definitely call for a little more detail to be used in the outfit when compared to the other styles I've done today. My wolf shoulder guard in particular was redrawn almost exactly like I did originally in my avatar piece before I digitally painted it. I have to admit the overall anatomy along with the little addition of playing with her wisp of hair works really well, and the blobs of shine I added to her hair really tied her into the Studio Ghibli style, despite the fact I don't think I've seen a lot of the elements in my avatar's outfit in any movies, like belts and old-fashioned armor. But you know, with my avatar all polished off in the Studio Ghibli style, we've reached the end of part 1 of my 10 style art challenge. 5 very different styles down, 5 more to go. A couple of them are on the more ambitious end of the spectrum, so I want to be sure I give myself enough time to really give it my best on the last few styles. So I really am sorry I have to cut and run here. I hope you guys like the ones I've made so far. I'd be curious to know which of the styles is your favorite and which you are looking forward to me tackling the most in part 2. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching everyone. If you liked this video, be sure to tap that like button, share it, or leave a comment below. If you have a couple coins to spare, please consider pledging to my Patreon, which directly funds my channel and art projects in exchange for a range of exclusive rewards. Every little bit helps, and anything is greatly appreciated. Until next time, see ya!